Welcome back. If you're tuning in, you're probably like us, always looking for ways to get straight to the core of impactful ideas, fast.
Definitely. Cutting through the fluff.
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive into a presentation by, well, the legendary Bob Proctor on the law of attraction.
A classic figure in this space.
For sure. But what's really interesting here is our source material. It's not some slick YouTube video.
Right.
It's actually a transcript of a talk he gave. And he even points this out himself, saying something like, there's no PowerPoints, there's no great technology. I'm going to use a flip chart because I want this to be in real time.
Huh. So really back to basics, just the ideas.
Just the ideas, raw and unfiltered. And the main thing he's tackling is, how does this law of attraction thing actually work? Get ready, because this might shift how you think about it.
Yeah, Proctor dives right in with a foundational point.
Huh.
The law of attraction isn't something you turn on and off. It's always on.
Always on. Like constantly.
Constantly. Even when you're not consciously, trying to attract something specific, your underlying beliefs, your energy, it's still working. He argues it's a law, not a technique you deploy sometimes.
He uses the gravity analogy, doesn't he?
He does. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, like if I let this go, it's going to go down. Simple as that. It's never going to go back up. It's going to go down. That is the law of gravity. And the law of attraction, he says, has that same constant, unwavering pull in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And to help us grasp how we fit into this constant law, he uses this really simple model of the mind, just two circles.
Right, the circles, one inside the other.
Yeah, representing the conscious and the subconscious mind. And there's this imaginary line separating them, as he puts it. Super basic visual, but it really helps frame his whole explanation.
Okay, so the law is always active, like gravity.
Yeah.
And we have this map, conscious mind, subconscious mind. Where does he go next?
He then zooms into the body itself. He says the body isn't just, solid stuff. It's a molecular structure, basically a massive energy at a very high speed of vibration.
A massive energy. That's quite a statement when you think about how solid we feel.
It really is. He even mentions apparently seeing this energy dancing under a microscope. It kind of forces you to reconsider what we are, fundamentally.
And that energetic view seems pretty central to his idea of attraction, right? Vibration.
Absolutely central. Because vibration, in Proctor's view, is how the law of attraction operates. It's the mechanism.
He even makes that slightly intense point about energy continuing after we're gone. The body decomposing, returning to dust.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder, isn't it? But it reinforces his idea that this energy, this vibration is constant, always in motion.
Okay, so body as energy, constantly vibrating. How does the mind connect to that?
That's the crucial link. Proctor says how we use our mind dictates the vibration we're in. And vibration isn't just some fuzzy concept. He calls it an idea.
An idea?
Yeah, and a fundamental law. He says, everything vibrates, nothing rests. We live in an ocean of motion. So our thoughts are basically controlling our vibrational state.
Thoughts control vibration. That leads us back to those circles, the conscious and subconscious mind, I guess.
Exactly. And this is where the subconscious really comes into play.
Yeah.
He explains it gets programmed super early on, like from infancy. A baby's subconscious is just wide open, absorbing everything.
Like sponge, just soaking it all up without any filters.
Precisely. And all that stuff, the environment, the repeated ideas, the information, it forms what Proctor calls a paradigm.
A paradigm. Okay.
Yeah.
What exactly does he mean by that?
He defines it as basically information and a multitude of habits. He says you start as a product of a genetic string, but then quickly become the product of your environment.
So this paradigm, this bundle of ingrained habits and beliefs from way back, that's what's running the show, vibrationally speaking.
Largely, yes. It controls your dominant vibration. That's why conscious effort alone can be so hard.
Right. He talks about that, doesn't he? Having a new idea, a Y-type thought, he calls it, like wanting something different. But if it clashes with the old programming, the X-type energy of the paradigm,
it creates resistance, discomfort.
Right.
He points out that we often shy away from that discomfort, so the new idea doesn't take root. The paradigm kind of pushes back.
it's like an invisible barrier almost.
Yeah.
Your ingrained habits just feel more normal, even if they're not getting you where you want to go.
Exactly. The paradigm dictates your emotional involvement with new thoughts. So here's the chain. Thoughts impress the subconscious. Subconscious controls the body's vibration. Vibration dictates actions and what you attract.
Wow. So it all flows from that subconscious programming, the paradigm.
Pretty much. We attract energy,
Yeah.
situations, even people that are in harmony with our dominant vibration, our paradigm, like tuning a radio to a specific station.
You only pick up what's on that frequency.
You got it.
That explains his point about highly educated people, maybe. Folks who know a lot intellectually but don't see the results match up.
That's exactly his observation. Their intellect gets it, maybe. But if the underlying paradigm, the subconscious program, hasn't shifted, their vibration and their actions are still stuck in the old pattern, the knowledge isn't enough on its own.
It has to get into the subconscious.
Right.
And he has that incredible personal story to back this up from, what, 1961?
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one. He followed some advice, these new U-type ideas, and it clearly made him uncomfortable, went against his grain.
But the results were insane, weren't they? His income jumped from like $4,000 a year.
To $175,000 in 1 year,
Ah.
and then over $1 million. Just staggering change.
But the kicker is, he didn't actually understand why it happened at first.
Right. That's the crucial part. It took him, what to say, 9.5 years?
Yeah, nearly a decade to connect the dots back to these principles he's explaining now about paradigms and vibration. He did it, the results happened, but the understanding came much later.
Which really hammers home his main point about change, doesn't it? If you want different results, lasting results.
You have to change the paradigm.
That's the core message. He apparently talks about how to do that in other sessions, but the takeaway here is shift the paradigm, and attracting different things becomes almost automatic. It's about getting the good stuff programmed in and kicking out the negative.
Reprogramming that subconscious hard drive.
Essentially, yes. And he keeps bringing it back to our physical nature, too. Reminding us again, the body is a molecular structure, pure energy.
He paints that picture of seeing someone on an infrared camera in the dark.
Yeah, a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. It's a really vivid way to think about ourselves as energetic beings.
And our feelings are tied into this.
Directly, he says our feelings are basically our conscious awareness of our vibration. Simple as that.
So feeling bad means
You're in a negative vibration. Feeling good.
positive vibration. Makes sense.
And he gives that practical tip, too. If you're feeling down, stuck in a negative vibe.
Just stop and think about what you're grateful for.
Exactly. He suggests that's a quick way to shift into a more positive vibration, change your state consciously.
It's simple, but you can see how it would work energetically based on his model.
Definitely. And ultimately, his conclusion ties it all together. The things people often chase, wealth, happiness, health,
Yeah.
they won't consistently show up until the paradigm, that underlying program, is vibrating in harmony with those things. It all comes back to the frequency you're broadcasting, which is dictated by that paradigm.
Wow. Okay. So that was a genuine deep dive into Bob Proctor's take, straight from his flip chart presentation, essentially.
Yeah.
The big takeaway really seems to be the power of that paradigm.
Yeah, that often invisible, deeply ingrained programming that dictates our vibration and consequently what we attract into our lives. It's fundamental.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How might these ideas apply to your own life? Could there be underlying paradigms shaping your experiences in ways you haven't quite seen before?
It's definitely food for thought. And if this resonates, Proctor's work is worth exploring further. He mentioned the Proctor Gallagher Institute website.
Right, proctorgallagherinstitute.com. He said they have tips, tools, and resources there. Seems like a good next step if you want more detail.
For sure.
And of course, if you found this kind of in-depth look valuable, please do subscribe to the Deep Dive. We love unpacking these kinds of transformative ideas.
Absolutely. And finally, if this conversation sparks something, maybe share it with someone else. You never know who might be looking for exactly this kind of perspective on how things work.